Dear Libra, what if I told you that your name has been energetically marked and a mysterious money flow is now being directed straight to you? This isn't just financial. It's cosmic. It's karmic. And it's happening whether you believe it or not. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where we don't chase predictions, we decode divine timing. If this message found you right now, at this exact moment, it's because your energy called it in. And this video was created to help you understand why banks are panicking, yes, literally, and why your name is silently lighting up something much bigger than a financial system. You didn't click by accident, Libra. You were summoned. Think about it. Have you been feeling a strange pull lately? A quiet vibration in your chest when you think about money, purpose, or sudden change? Those aren't random feelings. That's your soul preparing for alignment. That's the sound of a contract being fulfilled in the spirit realm, one that's about to overflow into your physical reality. Now, let's ask the real question: why you? Why now? The answer is both simple and sacred: because you've held the light. Because you've shown up with grace, when no one was watching. Because you chose peace when chaos begged for your reaction. And most of all, because your quiet acts of integrity were never wasted, they were logged in heaven's ledger. And now, Libra, it's your time. The systems of the world may not know how to measure what you've carried, but the universe does. And what's unfolding next is nothing short of miraculous. But before we go deeper, let me take a moment to say something from the heart. Thank you. Thank you for being here, for every like, every comment, every subscription that brings you closer to the inner circle of Zodiac Whisper Tarot. Your presence fuels this sacred space. And your support allows us to bring transformational messages like this straight to your soul. But don't just watch passively. Be part of this shift. If something in you is already resonating, if your body is tingling or your breath has slowed just a little, then I invite you to drop a comment below. Choose a sacred number, any number that speaks to your intuition. Or simply write, "I'm ready to receive my divine inheritance." This isn't just a comment. It's a spiritual handshake. It's you saying yes to everything that's already circling your field. Libra, I say this not with hype, but with certainty. You will want to stay until the very end of this message. What the universe is preparing to reveal is astonishing. And it's encoded just for you. So now, tell me, what in your soul brought you here today? What silent knowing whispered, "Play this video"? What if that inner voice was right? Stay with me. Let's decode it together. There are moments in life when the systems around us begin to falter, not because something is wrong, but because something greater is being made right. You may not see the full picture yet, Libra, but what's happening behind the scenes is no coincidence. The financial institutions that rely on logic, data, and historical precedent are struggling to interpret what has now entered their field: your name, attached to a flow of energy they cannot trace, a transaction they were never prepared to process. What they see as a disruption is, in fact, a divine correction. You see, the universe has its own record-keeping system. And unlike the spreadsheets and policies of the material world, it tallies with subtlety. It remembers your moments of grace, the way you spoke with kindness when anger was easier, the way you offered presents when you had nothing else to give, the way you stood firm in truth when silence could have protected you. These are not small gestures. They are energetic signatures that ripple into the unseen. And now, those ripples are returning not as applause, but as restoration. For so long, you may have felt invisible. Your name passed over. Your work unacknowledged. But now, something ancient and unseen is stepping forward to remind you, you have always mattered. Every time you chose patience, compassion, or honesty in the shadows, something powerful took note. And now, it moves. Not with fanfare, but with force. Not with noise, but with meaning. There is a sacred timing to all things. Some call it alignment, others call it fate. But I believe it is a form of quiet justice that always arrives on time. The world often values what is seen: results, titles, recognition, but the universe values the intention behind it all. And that's where you shine. Not because you demanded proof, but because you lived in truth. Not because you sought validation, but because you offered service without keeping score. And perhaps that is what makes this moment so profound. The banks and systems can't explain it, but deep down, you know exactly why it's happening. You feel the shift. You felt it for days. The heaviness lifting. The sense that something is about to unfold, not from effort, but from grace. From what you've endured. From what you've planted without needing credit. Maybe you've spent years waiting for your time to come, but here's what I want you to know: it never passed you by. It was growing beneath your feet, like a tree quietly rooting through stone. You didn't miss the opportunity, you became the person who could hold it when it arrived. And now it is. The lesson here is not to chase what belongs to you. It's to stay steady in your worth so it can find you. And when it does, welcome it without apology. This isn't a gift you've stumbled into. It's a result of who you've been when no one was watching. Sometimes in the rush of life, we forget the spiritual nature of delay. We think we've been denied when in fact, we were being prepared. Not punished. Not ignored. Just strengthened. So that when the abundance finally arrived, we could hold it, nurture it, and use it wisely. There is beauty in that kind of timing. It's the kind of moment that doesn't just reward you, it redefines you. It whispers that you're no longer someone who hopes to be seen. You are someone who can no longer be overlooked. And as this mysterious flow of money begins to enter your life, let it be more than support. Let it be a sign that you are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are right on time. Let's explore what's really happening in the cosmos, Libra, because what the stars are whispering to your chart right now isn't small, it's catalytic. This isn't just about your finances shifting, it's about your relationship with value evolving entirely. When Venus, your ruling planet, forms a harmonious trine with Pluto, it's not just another astrological transit, it's an energetic opening that activates your second house, the domain of personal resources, self-worth, and material stability. What makes this rare connection so meaningful is that Venus is the essence of grace, beauty, and receptive abundance, while Pluto brings transformation from the deepest layers of your soul. Together, they're telling a story that your worth is no longer negotiable and the universe is about to prove it. This alignment doesn't arrive with loud announcements or fanfare. Instead, it moves beneath the surface, often disguised as subtle shifts in your relationship to money, confidence, or how others suddenly begin to see you in new light. You may notice that things once delayed, calls, approvals, confirmations, start to return. Or perhaps, information that was once withheld is finally being revealed. This isn't coincidence. This is cosmic timing unfolding with surgical precision. At the same time, Mercury's retrograde through your third house begins stirring the waters of communication. Mercury rules how we speak, what we write, the messages we receive, and when it moves backward, it often returns things we thought were finished. Emails, calls, contracts, and even conversations long overdue may suddenly reappear. And while Mercury retrograde is often misunderstood, in this moment, it acts as a divine courier, ensuring that nothing meant for you can truly pass you by. Especially when connected to Pluto, these returns often come bearing weight, life-altering updates, financial restoration, or messages from sources you never expected. To deepen this energetic signature, the waning moon shines into a forgotten corner of your natal chart, casting its silver light on debts unpaid, not in a punitive sense, but in a restorative one. The 8th house energy awakened here points to soul contracts, inheritances, or karmic returns. These can be literal messages from attorneys, financial institutions, or family lines, or metaphorical, such as finally receiving support, recognition, or repayment for energy you gave long ago, when no one else noticed. This is why you must pay attention to any signs that arise between December 9th and 12th. Those dates carry a charge. If something arrives unexpectedly, it's not random, it's been in motion for years. So what should you do with this knowledge? Stay present. Don't chase. Instead, become the still point that allows abundance to land. There is a difference between striving and receiving. This window isn't asking you to force the outcome, it's asking you to be energetically prepared to hold what's already heading your way. In a world that often celebrates hustle and constant motion, this moment is a gentle invitation to embody trust. Sometimes the most powerful action is stillness. Faith, as it moves through the real world, is not passive, it's deeply aligned. And when you trust your worth enough to pause and expect goodness without begging for it, you shift your frequency to receive. Just like how certain miracles appear in ordinary place, an unexpected letter, a check from a closed account, a second chance wrapped in paperwork, your blessing may not arrive dressed as glory. It may come in the form of clarity, restoration, or the quiet return of something you once gave up hoping for. But if you're still enough, still aligned, you'll recognize it. Not every sacred moment comes with spiritual fireworks. Sometimes, it looks like a quiet message in your inbox, or a stranger saying your name in a room where your presence wasn't expected. Don't overlook the subtle. The stars aren't. And neither is your creator. Let this season of your chart remind you, value doesn't beg to be seen, it simply shines. What's unfolding now, Libra, is not just a message, it's a revelation from the deep layers of your energetic blueprint. The cards that have surfaced, Justice, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Six of Cups, are not random pulls. They are a conversation between your higher self and the universal intelligence that has been guiding your journey all along. And when these three archetypes appear together, especially for a sign as intrinsically tied to balance and alignment as you, it signals a moment that was long overdue finally arriving with undeniable clarity. Justice is not just a card for you, it is your cosmic mirror. It reflects everything you've endured, chosen, and withstood in silence. It doesn't just reward what was right, it corrects what was missed. You may not have always been acknowledged, but that doesn't mean your actions were unseen. The decisions you made when no one clapped, the boundaries you held without needing applause, the truth you spoke even when it cost you something, all of it was witnessed, not just by the universe, but by your own soul. And now, justice steps forward to restore what was out of place, not out of pity, but out of principle. There's something profoundly liberating in knowing you no longer need to fight for fairness because fairness is already on its way to you. Then comes the Ace of Pentacles, the undeniable symbol of tangible blessings being placed directly into your hands. This isn't vague or theoretical, it's real, material, and imminent. Whether it's a sudden financial opportunity, a job offer, a home, or a new resource you didn't expect, this is the kind of energy that changes your physical reality. But more than the object itself, this card signals that you are energetically aligned with receiving. You've done the inner work. You've cleared the clutter. You've cultivated a soil rich enough to support something solid. That's what this ace represents, a seed with the potential to become something lasting. And just like in nature, that seed doesn't grow through force, but through nourishment and time. So as it lands in your hands, remember, you are not required to rush it. You are only required to tend to it with care. And then there's the Six of Cups, whispering softly from the past. This card doesn't bring up nostalgia for no reason. It points to spiritual inheritance, unseen prayers, and the gentle echo of those who loved you long before you understood what love even meant. For some of you, this energy may show up through connections with childhood, old friends, or the reappearance of someone who once held a sacred role in your life. For others, it may be subtler, a sense that someone who has passed is guiding you, or that something you once gave freely is finally being returned. There's grace in that realization. That the universe remembers what even time forgot. What's remarkable is how these three energies work together like a sacred agreement. Justice says, what is rightfully yours is returning. The Ace of Pentacles says, it's coming in physical form. And the Six of Cups says, it's been promised for a very long time. You are not only stepping into a moment of reward, you are stepping into a moment of alignment so precise, it could only have been orchestrated by divine timing. In everyday life, we're often taught to question good things, to assume they're fleeting, conditional, or that we must work endlessly to keep them. But perhaps this is the moment to let that narrative go. Perhaps this is where you replace striving with presence. Where you stop asking if you're worthy and start remembering that you were always meant to receive what's arriving now. As you move forward, hold this truth gently: nothing is coming to you by accident. Everything is arriving on purpose. There's a quiet power in choosing not to question the arrival of good things, but instead, to receive them with grounded openness. Libra, at this stage of your journey, it's no longer about wondering whether you're worthy of what's coming. It's about remembering that worthiness has never been the question, it's always been the answer. What you're experiencing now is not luck. It's not a glitch in the system. It's the result of energetic alignment meeting divine timing. And in the practice of the law of attraction, we don't chase blessings, we create space for them. Instead of asking, why is this happening for me, ask, am I ready to hold what I asked for? That simple shift in perspective activates a new frequency. It transforms you from a passive observer into a powerful co-creator. And that's exactly what this phase is calling you into: intentional participation. When you speak a truth like, I am ready to receive my divine inheritance, you're not just saying words. You're unlocking doors in the unseen. You're creating vibrational permission for what's already circling your life to fully land. And here's the thing: energy moves where clarity flows. That's why affirmations are not magical phrases. They are alignment statements. They redirect your inner dialogue, stabilize your field, and remind every part of your being what you are calling in. So choose them carefully, and speak them often. Let them become part of your morning, your breath, your thought patterns. Justice is mine. I live in overflow. These aren't poetic declarations, they are energetic contracts you sign with yourself and with the life you're stepping into. When it comes to abundance, especially sudden or unexpected abundance, it's essential to create conscious containers for what arrives. Not just financial containers, but energetic ones. Think of it as giving shape to the flow. Without shape, even water spills. But when you create structure, the blessing has a place to grow. Dividing your resources intentionally is not about restriction, it's about honoring what has arrived. You're invited now to think in 3 dimensions: living, giving, and preserving. Invest in your experiences, give from your overflow, and protect what will serve you long term. That's not just financial wisdom, it's energetic stewardship. And don't forget, abundance cannot be sustained in a body that is running on survival. That's why this chapter isn't just about external alignment, it's about internal stability. Pay attention to your physical vessel. Reduce what drains you. Caffeine may help you push, but this isn't a season of force, it's a season of receptivity. Magnesium and B-complex nutrients help regulate your nervous system, supporting you as you hold more light, more energy, more opportunity. Sleep, often underestimated, is one of your greatest tools right now. Not just to rest but to restore. Your nervous system is calibrating to carry more. Make room for that shift by treating your body like a sacred channel, not just a machine. In the same way you'd care for a garden after planting rare seeds, care for your life in this moment. Speak life into it. Move gently. Open your hands and stop gripping so tightly to what used to feel safe. Because what's coming doesn't look like what you've seen before, but it will feel exactly like what you've always known was possible. It's also helpful to remember that many miracles don't arrive in dramatic ways. Sometimes, they look like a conversation that turns into a contract. A moment of stillness that leads to clarity. A delayed email that suddenly appears with good news. So, stay receptive. Keep your field open. Keep your spirit soft. You don't need to do more to deserve it. You just need to be present enough to recognize it when it arrives. There's a moment in every soul's journey when external measures simply fall short, when no resume, no balance sheet, no social recognition can truly capture the depth of what's been cultivated within. Libra, this is that moment for you. What's arriving now is not a reward you earned through performance. It's a return, a sacred recalibration for the way you've remained faithful, grounded, and quietly resilient, even when no one seemed to notice. And if the world has ever made you feel like you needed to prove your value, this is the season where that illusion begins to dissolve. You are not being given permission to rise. You are being reminded that you were never meant to wait for it. So much of our modern lives are shaped by systems that require validation, titles, results, numbers, but the truth is, your worth was never meant to be measurable. It was always meant to be felt. And those who truly see you, sense it immediately. There is something unshakable in the way you've walked through pain with quiet dignity, how you've held space for others even while tending your own wounds, how you've continued to plant seeds of light when the night around you was long. That is the kind of integrity that the universe doesn't forget. When you understand that you've already been chosen not by a person, not by a system, but by something far more enduring, you begin to move differently. You stop explaining. You stop apologizing. You stop shrinking your presence to make others more comfortable. You begin to realize that what you carry is not meant to fit into the world's template. It's meant to transform it. And here's what's most powerful: this realization doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as choosing to stay centered when old doubt rises. Sometimes it's the quiet act of saying, "I don't need to justify this blessing, I just need to live it." That, in itself, is a form of devotion. A declaration that you're no longer willing to participate in narratives that require you to audition for what's already yours. This is where grace meets groundedness. It's not about waiting for the world to catch up to your value. It's about living in such deep alignment with it that the world has no choice but to respond. And if it doesn't, you still move, because your direction no longer depends on consensus. It depends on clarity. I want you to pause and reflect. What would your life look like if you no longer waited for external permission? What would shift if you began each day knowing you were already authorized to lead, to receive, to expand? These questions are not rhetorical. They are invitations. They are thresholds. Sometimes, all it takes to cross those thresholds is one small, quiet choice: to believe that being present is enough. That your energy undiluted, unfiltered, unapologetically yours is the offering. And in a world constantly asking for credentials, presence is revolutionary. So yes, Libra, the time has come. Not to fight for your place but to take it. Not with force, but with full embodiment. Not with explanation, but with ease. You've already been claimed by purpose. The only thing left is to claim yourself. And if that truth resonates even just a little, speak it into the atmosphere with a single sentence that anchors it all. I don't need to prove anything. I only need to be here. Let that be your lighthouse. Let that be your liberation. Because once you understand that being chosen was never up for debate, the entire world begins to look like it was waiting for you all along. Dear Libra, if you've made it here, to this very moment, then something deep within you already knows: the shift has begun. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. But it's undeniable. You felt a soft whisper at first, then a rising pulse in your chest, a subtle tug in your soul. And now, the message is clear: you are being called back into alignment with your true self. This journey has never been about proving anything to the world. It's been about remembering who you were before the world told you to be someone else. From December 9th forward, the scales have tipped not by accident, but by sacred design. The money, the opportunity, the unexpected blessing theory not random. They're reflections. Proof of what's been growing in the unseen all along. A soul contract that has matured into form. A divine receipt returning to the one who paid in silence, in patience, in unwavering integrity. So instead of asking, "Will they see me now?" ask this: am I finally ready to live like I know who I am? Because your worth doesn't need validation. It needs embodiment. And your abundance doesn't need permission. It needs presence. The old version of you may have waited for a bank to approve, a system to understand, a person to believe. But this version, the one who's listening now, you know better. You know that your value is not tied to documents, digits, or opinions. It's written in your energy. It pulses through your quiet acts of faith. It has been stored, protected, and finally released. You were never chasing overflow. You were becoming someone who could hold it. And now that it's here, the only question left is, will you receive it fully? Will you allow your life to reflect the abundance your soul has already made space for? It's not about grandeur. It's about groundedness. About moving through your days with calm authority, not because someone gave it to you but because you remembered it was always yours. This is how destinies are activated, not with performance, but with presence. So here's what I ask of you now: pause, breathe, and claim it. If your heart knows this message was meant for you, don't let it pass without anchoring it into reality. Leave a comment below. Not just for engagement, but as a sacred mark, a digital fingerprint of your soul saying, "I'm ready." Write something simple, something honest. Perhaps, "I no longer wait for permission. I step into my truth." Or, "I am the keeper of divine abundance." Let your words become the vibration that draws it all in. And if this video spoke to you, if it stirred something ancient and wise within you, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this space with someone who may be quietly waiting for a message like this. Your presence supports this channel, Zodiac Whisper Tarot, and allows messages like this to keep finding the ones who are ready. Let this not just be something you watched. Let it be a turning point. Let it be a quiet revolution in how you show up for yourself. Because Libra, the truth is, you were never forgotten. You were simply being prepared. And now, the light doesn't need an explanation. It just needs you.